The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, and it changed everything humanity knew about the universe. Captain Park Do-hyun stood in the command center of the United Terran Federation headquarters in Seoul. The building was tall and made of glass and steel, and from his office he could see the whole city spread out below him. But today, he was not looking at the city. He was looking at a holographic display that showed words in a language no human had ever seen before. "The translation is complete, sir," said Lieutenant Baek Subin, who stood beside him. Subin was a tall man with serious eyes and a metal arm that replaced the one he lost in the Mars campaign. His cybernetic eye glowed soft blue as he read the data. Do-hyun read the translated message slowly. The Galactic Council, a group of 12 alien species, wanted to meet with humanity. They had been watching Earth for 50 years. They had seen humans split the atom. They had seen humans walk on the moon and then Mars. They had seen humans build cities in space and cure diseases that once killed millions. And now, finally, they wanted to talk. "They want peace," Do-hyun said quietly. "They want to know if we're dangerous," Subin corrected him. Do-hyun could not argue with that. Humanity's history was written in blood. Wars, conquests, bombs that could destroy whole cities. If he were an alien watching from far away, he would be worried too. The door opened, and Ambassador Kim Yuna walked in. She was a small woman, with sharp eyes and gray hair that she kept in a tight bun. She had negotiated treaties on 3 continents and stopped 2 wars with nothing but words. If anyone could make aliens trust humanity, it was her. "I've read the message," she said without greeting. "We need to accept. It could be a trap," Subin said. Yuna looked at him with the patient expression of someone who had heard every argument before. "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already. They've been watching us for 50 years. They have technology we cannot imagine." "No, Lieutenant. This is not a trap. This is a test." She turned to Do-hyun. "Captain, I want your ship. The Taeguk is the finest vessel in the fleet. It will show them we take this seriously." Do-hyun nodded. The Taeguk was his pride. He had commanded her for 10 years, through asteroid fields and pirate attacks, and one very close call with a solar flare. She was fast, strong, and beautiful. "She's yours, Ambassador. But I come with her." "I would not have it any other way," Yuna said. Over the next 2 weeks, the delegation came together. Dr. Shin Yoonji, the Federation's best expert on alien languages, joined them even though there were no alien languages to study yet. "There will be," she said with a smile. "And I want to be ready." Sergeant Moon Tae-hyun was chosen to lead the honor guard. He picked 12 of his best Marines, soldiers who had trained for years and could stand perfectly still for hours. "We'll make humanity proud," he promised. The question of gifts was difficult. What do you bring to aliens who might have everything? After long debates, they chose items that showed Korean culture. A ceremonial sword, called a jingam, with a blade so sharp it could cut silk in the air. Beautiful robes called hanbok, made of bright red and blue silk. And bottles of traditional rice wine, aged for 20 years. "These gifts show respect," Yuna explained to the team. "The sword shows we are warriors, who value honor. The robes show we create beauty. The wine shows we wish to share joy. Robes, honor Sam." On the night before departure, Do-hyun stood alone on the observation deck of the Taeguk. The ship was docked at the orbital station above Earth, and through the window he could see his home planet glowing blue and white below. He thought about what this mission meant. For all of human history, people had looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. Now, they knew the answer. They were not alone. The universe was full of life, full of minds, full of civilizations that had existed for thousands of years before humans learned to make fire. And those civilizations were afraid of humanity. Do-hyun understood why. He had read the Council's message many times now. The aliens were peaceful. They had not fought wars in 10,000 years. They solved problems with words, not weapons. To them, humans must seem like monsters from a nightmare. A species that killed its own kind. A species that built weapons that could crack planets. A species that looked up at the stars and thought not of friends, but of conquest. But that was not all humanity was. Do-hyun knew that. Humans were also the species that built hospitals and schools. The species that made music and art. The species that loved so deeply they would die for strangers. Humans were capable of terrible things. Yes, but they were also capable of wonderful things. He hoped the council would see that. The door behind him opened and Subin walked in. The lieutenant stood beside his captain and looked out at Earth. "Are you worried?" Subin asked. "Yes," Do-hyun admitted. "We are about to meet beings we don't understand. We don't know their customs or their fears. We don't know what will make them happy or angry. One mistake could ruin everything." "Then we won't make mistakes," Subin said simply. Do-hyun smiled. Subin was always like this. Direct. Confident. He saw problems and solved them. He did not waste time on worry. "The ambassador has prepared well," Subin continued. "Dr. Shin has studied every piece of data we have. Sergeant Moon's team is the best in the fleet. We are as ready as we can be." "And if that's not enough?" Subin was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Humanity has faced worse odds before. We survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We went to space when our rockets exploded half the time. We built a civilization on Mars when everyone said it was impossible. We are very good at doing impossible things, Captain. This is just one more." Do-hyun looked at his lieutenant. The man's metal arm gleamed in the starlight. He had lost that arm, saving 3 members of his squad from an explosion. He had never complained. He had simply gotten a new arm and gone back to work. That was humanity, Do-hyun thought. They got knocked down, and they got back up. They faced the impossible, and they found a way. Maybe that was why the council was afraid. Not because humans were violent, but because humans never stopped. They never gave up. They never accepted that something could not be done. "Get the crew ready," Do-hyun said finally. "We leave at dawn." Subin saluted and left. Do-hyun stayed on the observation deck for a long time, watching Earth turn slowly below him. Somewhere down there, billions of people were going about their lives, working, playing, loving, fighting. They did not know that tomorrow a small ship would carry the hopes of all humanity to a meeting that could change everything. He would not let them down. When the sun rose over the Pacific Ocean, the Taeguk's engines powered up. The ship turned away from Earth and pointed toward the distant star where Haven Prime waited. Ambassador Yuna stood on the bridge with Do-hyun and Subin. Dr. Shin was in her quarters, studying data. Sergeant Moon and his Marines were in the cargo bay, practicing their formations one last time. "Take us out, Captain," Yuna said. Do-hyun gave the order. The Taeguk flew into the darkness between stars, carrying 12 humans toward a meeting with the galaxy. None of them knew that everything was about to go very, very wrong. Haven Prime was the most beautiful thing any human had ever seen. The station floated in the golden light of a binary star system. It was shaped like a flower, with long, curved arms reaching out from a central dome. Ships of every shape and color moved around it like bees around a hive. Some were small and fast. Some were huge and slow, bigger than any human ship ever built, and every single one of them stopped moving when the Taeguk appeared. On the bridge, Dr. Shin Unji stared at the screen with wide eyes. Captain Park Do-hyun kept his face calm, but inside he felt the same wonder and fear. The Taeguk was a good ship, a strong ship. But compared to these alien vessels, it looked like a child's toy. "Keep us steady," he told the pilot. "Take us in slow." Love the pilot. Ambassador Kim Yuna stood beside him, her hands folded behind her back. She was wearing her best hanbok, dark blue with silver patterns. and her gray hair was perfect. She looked like she was walking into a normal meeting, not the most important moment in human history. "They're curious," she said. "That's good. Curiosity is better than fear." She was wrong about that, but none of them knew it yet. The council had assigned them Docking Bay 7. It was a large, open space, with a floor made of something that looked like white marble. Waiting for them were representatives from 5 of the 12 council species. They stood in a group near the entrance. And as the Teguk's airlock opened, they all turned to look. Lieutenant Baek Subin was the first one out. He walked down the ramp and stopped at the bottom, checking the area for danger. His cybernetic eyes scanned everything: the walls, the doors, the aliens themselves. When he was satisfied, he nodded. Sergeant Moon Tae-hyun came next with his 12 Marines. They marched in perfect formation, their boots hitting the floor at exactly the same time. Left, right, left, right. The sound echoed through the docking bay like drums. The aliens moved back. The humans did not notice. They were focused on their ceremony, on doing everything exactly right. Sergeant Moon called a halt, and the Marines stopped as one. Their backs straight, their eyes forward. Then they split into 2 lines, creating a path. Ambassador Yuna walked down the ramp between them. Captain Do-hyun followed her, and then Dr. Shin. They approached the alien representatives and stopped at a respectful distance. Yuna bowed. "On behalf of all humanity, we thank you for this invitation. We come in peace and friendship." She smiled. The alien in front was a Valanthi. Her name was Counselor Mira, and her species had evolved on a world of gentle rain and soft light. The Valanthi were telepaths. They could feel the emotions of others, and right now Mira was feeling something that made her hearts beat very fast. The human leader was showing her teeth. Among the Valanthi, showing teeth meant one thing: you were about to bite. It was a sign of attack, of violence. Mira took a step back without thinking. Her mind reached out to the other humans automatically, trying to understand. What she felt almost knocked her down. These creatures were not calm. They were not peaceful. Inside them was an ocean of emotions so strong and wild that Mira could hardly process it. She felt excitement and pride and hope. Yes, but underneath that she felt something else. Something that flowed through every human like blood. Aggression. It was not anger. They were not upset. This was simply how they existed. Every human in that room carried inside them a capacity for violence that Mira had never felt before. It was part of them. It was always there. Always ready. Like a fire, waiting for wood. Mira's legs went weak. Her assistant caught her before she could fall. Counselor Thresh moved forward to take her place. Thresh was Corvani, an insectoid species that communicated through chemicals. His antennae moved constantly, reading the air, and what he read made his shell turn pale. The humans were producing fear chemicals, stress chemicals, attack chemicals. Their bodies were preparing for violence. Thresh was sure of it. Why else would they bring soldiers? Why else would they move with such predatory grace, like pack hunters closing on prey? "We have brought gifts," Ambassador Yuna said. She gestured to Sergeant Moon, who stepped forward with a long wooden box. Moon opened the box and presented its contents. It was a sword. Thresh had never seen a sword before. His species did not have weapons, except for tools to dig and build. But he knew what he was looking at. A piece of sharp metal designed for one purpose: to cut living things. The humans had brought an instrument of death to a peace meeting. His chemical alarm systems activated before he could stop them. Suddenly the air was full of danger pheromones, warning every Corvani in the station that there was a threat. The humans still did not understand. They thought the ceremony was going well. Dr. Shin presented the hanbok robes, beautiful red silk, that meant celebration and joy to Koreans. But to the Valanthi, who saw colors differently, red meant blood. It meant warning. It meant stay away or die. Finally, Do-hyun presented the rice wine. "This is a traditional drink from our homeland," he explained. "We hope you will share it with us." Number 5. Iwerg, the Falori delegate, a small creature covered in fine fur, accepted the bottle politely. Falori were known for their sensitive digestion. They survived on a diet of mild foods and clean water. The delegate opened the bottle and took a small sip. The alcohol burned down his throat like fire. He dropped the bottle and screamed. To him, the humans had just tried to poison him. That was when the alarm started. Red lights flashed across the docking bay. Doors slammed shut. Security drones appeared from the walls, their sensors locked on the human delegation. "What's happening?" Do-hyun demanded. Subin's hand went to his sidearm automatically. "Threat detected. They're locking us down." "No," Yuna ordered. "Hands away from weapons. Everyone stay calm." But staying calm was not easy. The Marines shifted their weight, ready to fight. Their training screamed at them to respond to the threat. They did not draw weapons, but their bodies prepared for combat. The aliens saw this. They saw how quickly the humans changed, how their muscles tensed, how their eyes became hard and focused. These creatures were not diplomats. They were predators wearing diplomatic clothing, and they had brought weapons and poison to a peace meeting. Counselor Mira was being carried away by her assistants. Before she left, she looked back at Ambassador Yuna. Their eyes met. Mira felt the humans' confusion and frustration, but she also felt that ocean of aggression still there, still burning. "What did we do wrong?" Yuna asked. Her voice was quiet, lost. Mira did not answer. She could not. The fear was too strong. The docking bay emptied. Within minutes, the humans were alone, surrounded by locked doors and security drones. They had traveled across the stars for peace, and instead, they had started a panic. In her quarters later, Yuna sat with her head in her hands. Do-hyun stood by the door. Subin and Dr. Shin waited for orders. None of them knew what to say. "We did everything right," Yuna said finally. "We bowed. We smiled. We brought gifts." "What happened?" "I don't know," Do-hyun admitted. "But we need to find out. Before this gets worse." He was right. It was going to get much worse. Above Haven Prime, the council was holding an emergency session. Representatives from all 12 species had gathered to discuss one question. Were the humans invaders? Had they come not for peace, but for conquest? The evidence seemed clear. The humans had brought soldiers and weapons. Their bodies produced attack chemicals. Their leader had displayed her teeth in a threat. Their gifts were instruments of death and poison. And through it all, they had been calm, not nervous or apologetic, calm, like they did not care, like this was normal to them, because it was normal. For humans, it was completely normal, but the council did not know that yet. All they knew was that monsters had come to Haven Prime, and something had to be done. The council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 12 species filled the great circular room. Some stood, some floated, some clung to the walls. All of them were talking at once, and even though they spoke different languages, the translators carried their fear and anger clearly. "They brought weapons," shouted the Corvani delegate. His antennae were flat against his head, a sign of extreme stress. A blade of sharpened metal. To a peace summit. "Their leader threatened us," said a Valanthi representative, his voice shaking. "They poisoned Delegate Fen," added another voice. "He is in medical care. The liquid they gave him burned his internal organs." High Counselor Voss raised her hand for silence. She was old, even by the standards of her species, the Sorvani, who lived for 1,000 years. Her skin was gray and wrinkled, and her eyes had seen civilizations rise and fall. She had never seen anything like this. "We must be careful," she said. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the room. "We invited these humans here. We wanted to understand them. We understand them now, Thresh said bitterly. They are predators. Conquerors. They came here to test us, to find our weaknesses. We do not know that, Voss replied. We know only that they frightened us. That is not the same thing. But the council was not listening. Fear had taken over. For 10,000 years, these species had lived in peace. They had forgotten what it felt like to face a threat. Now that feeling had returned, and they did not know how to control it. In the human quarters below, the delegation waited for news that did not come. Captain Park Do-hyun paced the small room like a caged animal. He was not used to waiting. He was used to action, to solving problems. But here, there were no problems he could solve. He could not fight his way out. He could not fly his way out. He could only wait. They have to talk to us eventually, he said. Do they? Lieutenant Baek-Subin stood by the window, watching the security drones outside. His cybernetic eye tracked their movements automatically, mapping patrol patterns. They have kept us here for 6 hours. They are not answering our communications. Maybe they've already decided what to do with us. Ambassador Kim Yuna sat in a chair with her eyes closed. She was thinking, turning the problem over and over in her mind. Something had gone wrong. Something basic and important. But what? Dr. Shin Unji was at a computer terminal, working through the station's public information network. It was the only system they still had access to. Anything useful? Do-hyun asked. Unji was quiet for a moment. Then she said, They've never had a war. Everyone looked at her. Not a real war, she continued. Not like ours. 10,000 years ago they had conflicts. But they solved them through debate. Discussion. They would argue for years, sometimes centuries, until everyone agreed. They developed laws and customs to prevent violence. It worked. They haven't killed each other in 10,000 years. That's impressive, Yuna said slowly. It's more than that, Yoonji said. It's everything to them. Peace is their highest value. Violence is the worst thing they can imagine. And we walked in there, with soldiers, and swords, and... She stopped. Do-hyun understood. We scared them. We terrified them, Unji corrected. To us, those Marines were an honor guard, a sign of respect. To them, it was an invasion force. The sword was a gift of cultural value. To them, it was a murder weapon. Subin turned from the window. Then we explain. We tell them it was a mistake. They won't believe us, Yuna said. Her eyes were open now, and they were sad. Think about it from their perspective. We brought weapons to a peace meeting. We displayed threat behavior. Why would they believe it was an accident? They think we're predators. Predators lie. The room fell silent. In the council chamber, the debate continued. Counselor Mira had recovered enough to attend, though she sat in a support chair, and her skin was still pale. The other delegates wanted to hear what she had felt when she touched the humans' minds. It was overwhelming, she said. Their emotions are so strong. So loud. They feel everything at maximum intensity, all the time. Joy, sadness, love, anger. Everything burns in them. And aggression? Thresh asked. Mira hesitated. Yes, but not how you think. It wasn't focused on us. It was just there. Always there. Like a heartbeat. They carry it with them everywhere. Even when they are happy, even when they are calm, it is there, underneath. So they are always ready to attack, someone said. Or to defend, Voss suggested. Perhaps they evolved in a dangerous place. Perhaps they needed that aggression to survive. Does it matter? Thresh demanded. Whatever the reason, they are dangerous. We should send them away before someone gets hurt. Many voices agreed with him. The chamber filled with noise again, but Voss was still thinking. She looked at Mira. When you touched their minds, she said slowly. What else did you feel? Besides the aggression? Mira was quiet for a long moment. Loneliness, she said finally. They were so lonely. They've been alone in their part of space for all their history. They look up at the stars and see no one looking back. They came here, hoping to find friends. They wanted so badly for us to like them. The chamber went silent. That doesn't change what they did, Thresh said. But his voice was less certain now. No, Voss agreed. But it changes why they did it. They were not trying to threaten us. They were trying to impress us. They brought their best soldiers because they thought it showed strength and honor. They brought a sword because they thought it showed respect. They were speaking a language we don't understand. Then how do we communicate? Someone asked. If everything they do scares us, how can we ever trust them? Voss did not have an answer. Back in the human quarters, Do-hyun was having the same thought from the other side. We need to show them we're not a threat, he said. But how? Everything we do seems to make it worse. Yoonji looked up from her computer. I have an idea, but you won't like it. Tell me anyway. We have to make ourselves small. Weak. Non-threatening. We have to show them we can be vulnerable. Subin shook his head immediately. No. Absolutely not. We don't show weakness to potential enemies. They're not enemies, Yuna said quietly. They're frightened prey animals. And we're the predators who walked into their home. Subin. Think about it. If a wolf wanted to make friends with rabbits, what would it have to do? Subin was quiet. It would have to stop acting like a wolf. Yuna continued. It would have to be small and gentle and show that it meant no harm. That's what we have to do. We have to stop being human for a little while. Can we do that? Do-hyun asked. Yuna looked at her team. The soldiers who had trained their whole lives to be strong. The captain who had built his career on being commanding and confident. The lieutenant, whose body was literally designed for combat. We have to try, she said. We have to try. Or we lose everything. Above them, the council was voting. The motion was to expel the humans from Haven Prime immediately and break off all contact. It was going to pass. Then Councillor Mira spoke. Wait, she said. Give them one more chance. One more meeting. If they threaten us again, we send them away forever. But if there is any possibility that this was a misunderstanding, don't we owe it to ourselves to find out? Why would you say this? Thresh demanded. You were the one most hurt by them, because when I touched their minds, I felt something else, Mira said. Underneath the aggression and the loneliness, I felt hope. They want this to work so badly. They have been dreaming of meeting us for their entire history. Maybe they made mistakes, but I believe they came here in good faith. And I think we should give them a chance to prove it. The vote was close. But in the end, Mira's words made the difference. The council agreed to one more meeting. They did not know that the humans were already planning to do something no human had ever done before. They were planning to surrender. The message came at midnight, station time. Ambassador Kim Yuna read it 3 times to make sure she understood. The council would meet with them one more time. Tomorrow, in the Grand Assembly Hall. This was their last chance. We have 12 hours, she told her team. 12 hours. To figure out how to stop being terrifying. They gathered in the main room of their quarters. Captain Do-hyun, Lieutenant Subin, Dr. Eunji, Sergeant Moon Tae-hyun, and 2 of his Marines, who had been chosen to attend the new meeting. Everyone else would stay on the Taeguk. Eunji had been studying all night. Her eyes were red and tired, but her voice was excited. I think I understand now, she said. I've been reading everything I can find about the council species, their evolution, their psychology, and I think I know why we scared them so much. Tell us, Yuna said. Eunji took a deep breath. All 12 council species evolved as prey animals. Every single one. They came from worlds where they were hunted by predators. They survived by hiding, by running, by working together in groups. Their entire psychology is based on avoiding danger. And we're predators, Do-hyun said slowly. We're the worst predators they've ever seen, Unji agreed. Humans evolved as pack hunters on a dangerous world. We chased down animals that were bigger and faster than us. We didn't have claws or fangs, so we made weapons. We didn't have thick skin, so we made armor. Everything about us, the way we move, the way we think, the way we feel, is designed for hunting. Sergeant Moon shifted uncomfortably. He was a big man, with wide shoulders and thick arms. He had never thought of himself as scary. He thought of himself as a protector. But now, he was starting to understand. Our normal behavior is threat behavior to them, Unji continued. When we make eye contact, we're targeting prey. When we stand up straight, we're making ourselves look bigger to intimidate. When we smile, we're showing our teeth like weapons. When we walk with purpose, we're stalking. That's just how humans are, Subin said. We can't change our biology. No, Yuna said. But we can change our behavior. She looked at Unji. What do we need to do? Unji had a list. She had been making it all night. First, no eye contact. Look down or to the side. Prey animals see direct eye contact as a threat. Second, make yourselves smaller. Hunch your shoulders. Bend your knees. Don't stand at full height. Third, move slowly. Very slowly. Quick movements trigger their flight response. Fourth, speak softly. Low volume, flat tone. Don't show emotion in your voice. Fifth, do not smile. Keep your lips together. No teeth. The room was quiet. You want us to act weak, Subin said. His voice was flat. I want you to act safe, Unji corrected. There's a difference. Subin shook his head. This goes against everything we are. Everything we've trained for. You're asking us to be less than human. Taum. I'm asking you to be more than human, Yuna said. Anyone can be strong. It takes true strength to be gentle. To put aside your pride for something more important. Subin looked at her for a long moment. Then, he looked at Do-hyun. The captain was quiet. He was thinking about what it meant to be human. He had always believed that humanity's strength was its greatest quality. The will to survive. To fight. To never give up. But maybe that wasn't true. Maybe humanity's greatest strength was its ability to change, to adapt, to become whatever it needed to become. We'll do it, Do-hyun said. They started practicing immediately. Sergeant Moon had the hardest time. He had spent 20 years learning to walk with confidence and authority. Now he had to learn the opposite. Unji watched him cross the room and shook her head. You still look like you're hunting something, she said. I'm just walking, Moon protested. Your shoulders are back. Your chin is up. Your stride is long and even. You look like a predator approaching prey. Try again. Smaller steps. Look at the floor. Let your shoulders come forward. Moon tried again. He was starting to get it. His walk became slower, less certain. He looked like a man who was not sure where he was going. It felt wrong to him. It felt weak. But when Unji nodded in approval, he kept doing it. Subin worked on his cybernetic eye. The glow was automatic, a sign that his systems were active. But to the aliens, it looked like a targeting system. He found a way to dim it, to make it barely visible. It meant his scanning abilities would be reduced. He would be half-blind, in a dangerous situation. But he did it anyway. Yuna practiced speaking without showing emotion. She was naturally an expressive person. Her face moved when she talked. Her voice rose and fell with feeling. Now, she had to be flat and calm. She had to sound almost bored. It was like being a different person. Do-hyun practiced looking down. He was a captain. He had spent his career meeting people's eyes, commanding attention, taking charge of rooms. Now he had to be invisible. Axed. He had to make people forget he was there. It was harder than any battle he had ever fought. The two Marines who would attend the meeting practiced standing at rest instead of attention. No straight backs. No stiff arms. They had to look relaxed, even when they were not. By morning, they were exhausted but ready. "One more thing," Unji said. "No gifts this time. We already made that mistake. Instead, bring images, recordings, things that show who we really are." "What do you mean?" Yuna asked. "They think we're monsters. We have to show them we're not. Bring pictures of families, children playing, pets, gardens, old people sitting in the sun. Show them the gentle parts of humanity. The parts that don't involve fighting." Yuna nodded slowly. "We show them our hearts. Yes. We make them see that we love, and we care, and we hurt just like they do. We're not so different. We just come from a harder place." They gathered images from the ship's database. A child learning to walk, held by her father's hands. An old couple feeding birds in a park. Soldiers at a funeral, crying for their friend. A dog sleeping with its head in its owner's lap. "These are good," Yuna said as she reviewed them. "These show what humanity is really about." Do-hyun looked at the images and felt something shift in his chest. He had been so focused on showing strength, on proving that humanity deserved respect. But these pictures told a different story. They showed a species that cared about things beyond itself, that built families and communities, that felt pain and joy, just like any other living creature. Maybe that was what the council needed to see. Not human strength, human heart. "There's one more thing," Unji said. She hesitated. "Someone should speak to them about why we are the way we are. Not to make excuses, but to help them understand. They need to know that our aggression isn't evil. It's just how we survived." "I'll do it," Do-hyun said. "I'll tell them about Earth, about the predators and the ice ages and the wars, about how we had to be strong, or die. And then I'll tell them that we don't want to be that way anymore. We want to be better. We want to learn peace from them." Yuna smiled, then caught herself and stopped. "We all do," Do-hyun agreed. "We have to be perfect. One mistake, and we lose our chance. Maybe our only chance." Subin looked at his captain. For the first time, he did not look unhappy about the plan. He looked determined. "Then we won't make mistakes," he said. "We'll show them what humanity can be when it tries." Moon and his Marines nodded. They were soldiers. They knew how to follow orders, even orders that felt strange. If this was the mission, they would complete it. "Get some rest," Yuna told them. "We have 4 hours before the meeting. I want everyone fresh and focused." They went to their rooms, but nobody slept. They lay in bed and thought about what was coming. The most important meeting in human history, and they had to attend it while pretending to be something they were not. Or maybe, Do-hyun thought as he stared at the ceiling, they would be showing what they truly were. Not the aggression, not the violence, not the hunting instincts burned into their genes over millions of years. The choice to be gentle. That was what made humans different from other predators. They could choose. They could look at their instincts and decide to be something else. That was power. That was strength. He got out of bed and looked out the window at Haven Prime's lights. Somewhere out there, alien beings were just as nervous as he was. They were afraid of him. They thought he was a monster. He was going to prove them wrong. The Grand Assembly Hall was the largest room any of them had ever seen. It rose up and up, level after level of seats filled with aliens of every shape and color. Some had fur. Some had scales. Some had skin that shifted colors with their moods. Some floated in the air. Some stood on many legs. All of them were looking down at the small group of humans who walked through the main door. Ambassador Kim Yuna entered first. She walked slowly, her steps small and careful. Her eyes were fixed on the floor in front of her. Her shoulders were curved forward. making her already small body look even smaller. Her face was calm and empty of expression. Behind her came Captain Park Do-hyun, Lieutenant Baek Subin, Sergeant Moon Tae-hyun, and 2 Marines. They moved the same way. Slow, small, eyes down. They looked nothing like the proud delegation that had arrived 2 days ago. They looked like they were trying to disappear. The council members watched in silence. They had expected more threats, more aggression. They had not expected this. High Counselor Voss looked down from her seat at the top of the chamber. She was curious. These humans looked completely different from before. They moved like prey animals. They acted humble and careful. Was it a trick? Or something else? "You may approach," Voss said. Her voice echoed through the hall. Yuna walked forward until she reached the center of the room. Then she stopped and did something that made everyone stare. She knelt down. All the humans knelt down. They made themselves as small as possible. Their heads bowed, their hands open and visible. It was the posture of surrender, the posture of trust. "Look," they were saying. "We have no weapons. We cannot attack. We put ourselves in your power." Counselor Thresh felt his antennae twitch. The fear chemicals were gone. These humans were producing something else now, something calm and steady, almost peaceful. Counselor Mira closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. She touched the emotions of the kneeling humans and caught her breath. The aggression was still there. It would always be there, but now it was buried under something else: control, discipline, will. These creatures were fighting their own instincts. They were forcing themselves to be gentle. It was one of the hardest things Mira had ever felt. "We come before you to apologize," Yuna said. Her voice was soft and flat. No emotion. No expression. "We did not mean to frighten you. We did not understand. Where we come from, our behavior shows respect and honor. We did not know it would seem like a threat to you. We are sorry." The hall was very quiet. "We brought gifts that scared you," Yuna continued. "The sword was meant to show courage and tradition. The wine was meant to share happiness. We did not know they would hurt and frighten you. Today we bring something different. We bring the truth of what we are." She nodded to Subin, who activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air above the humans. A mother holding a newborn baby, her face full of love. Children playing in a field of flowers, laughing in the sunlight. An old man with white hair teaching a young girl to paint. 2 friends embracing after years apart. A family sitting around a table, sharing food and stories. "This is humanity," Yuna said. "We love. We care. We protect. We create." More images appeared. Doctors treating sick patients. Teachers showing students the stars. Farmers growing food. Artists making music and paintings. And buildings that reach toward the sky. "We build," Yuna said. "We learn. We try to make tomorrow better than today." Then the images changed. They became harder to look at. Soldiers in a battlefield. Their faces exhausted and sad. A funeral, with people crying over a grave. A city in ruins, after a natural disaster. A hospital ward full of injured children. "We also suffer," Yuna said. "We know pain. We know loss. We know grief. We are not monsters without feelings. We feel everything. Too much, sometimes." Finally, the images showed something else. Humans helping each other. Rescuing strangers from floods. Sharing food with the hungry. Rebuilding homes after storms. Holding the hands of the dying so they would not be alone. "And when we suffer, we help each other," Yuna said. "We take care of the weak. We protect the small. That is what our strength is for. Not to hurt, to protect." She fell silent. The images faded. High Counselor Voss leaned forward. "Why do you have such aggression inside you? We feel it even now. You cannot hide it." Yuna nodded to Do-hyun. The captain rose slowly to his feet. He kept his eyes low and his voice soft. I can explain, he said. May I tell you about our world? Please, Voss said. Do-hyun had never been good with words. He was a soldier, not a speaker. But he tried. Earth is a dangerous place, he began. It always has been. When we were young as a species, everything wanted to kill us. Animals with claws and teeth bigger than ours. Weather that changed without warning. Diseases we could not see. We were small and weak, and the world was trying to destroy us. He paused, remembering the stories he had learned as a child. The deep history of his species. So we became strong. We had to. If we were not strong, we would die. Our bodies changed over millions of years. Our minds changed. We became hunters because if we did not hunt, we would starve. We became fighters because if we did not fight, we would be killed. The aggression you feel in us is not evil. It is survival. It is written in our blood. The hall was silent. Everyone was listening. But we also became something else. Do-hyun continued. We became a family. Humans learned that we were stronger together than alone. We built tribes and villages and cities. We took care of each other. We created laws and customs to control our violence. We taught ourselves to be good to each other. He looked up for just a moment. Not at any alien in particular, but at the hall itself. At this room, full of beings who had achieved what humanity still dreamed of. You have had peace for 10,000 years, he said. We have not. We still fight. We still hurt each other. We are not proud of this. We are trying to be better. We are trying every day. And when we received your invitation, we thought, maybe you could help us. Maybe you could teach us. Maybe we could learn from you how to be the species we want to be instead of the species we had to be. He knelt back down. The hall was still silent. Then Counselor Mira stood. Her assistants tried to stop her, but she waved them away. She walked down from her seat, slowly and carefully, until she stood in front of the kneeling humans. When I touched your minds, she said, I felt your aggression. It frightened me. It still frightens me. But I also felt something else. I felt how hard you are trying right now. I can feel you fighting yourselves, pushing down your instincts, forcing yourselves to be small and gentle when everything in you wants to be big and strong. She looked at Yuna. That must be very difficult. Yes, Yuna admitted. It is the hardest thing we have ever done. Then why do it? Yuna thought about the question. Then she said, because we want you to see us, the real us. Not the predators, not the hunters, not the monsters you think we are. We want you to see the parents and teachers and doctors and artists, the species that loves and hopes and dreams. We want you to see our hearts. Mira was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised everyone, including herself. She reached out and touched Yuna's hand. The human's skin was warm. Her pulse beat strong and fast beneath the surface. Mira could feel everything, the fear, the hope, the desperate need to be understood. And underneath it all, the aggression, yes, but held back. Controlled. Caged by will and discipline. And something else. Love. These creatures loved their species. They loved each other. They even loved the aliens they had just met. They wanted so badly to connect, to belong, to find their place in a universe that had ignored them for so long. I believe you, Mira said softly. She turned to face the council. I believe them, she said again, louder. They are not monsters. They are people. Different from us. Yes. Dangerous, perhaps, but not evil. They came here in good faith. They made mistakes, but they are trying to fix them. They are trying so hard. And, she looked at High Counselor Voss. Give them a chance. Please. They have so much to learn, but they also have so much to teach. I think we need each other. The council debated for 3 hours. The humans waited in a side room, not knowing what would happen. Finally, the doors opened, and Voss herself came to speak to them. We will not form an alliance today, she said. There is too much we do not understand about each other. But we will not send you away either. We will begin a cultural exchange. Slowly, carefully. We will learn about each other and see if trust is possible. Yuna bowed her head. Thank you. That is more than we hoped for. Voss looked at her with old, wise eyes. Your captain said you want to learn peace from us. Perhaps that is true. But perhaps we can learn something from you as well. What could we teach you? Do-hyun asked. Voss almost smiled. Courage, she said. We have been at peace so long we have forgotten how to be brave. We have forgotten that sometimes you must fight to protect what you love. Perhaps you can remind us. On the journey home, the crew of the Taeguk was quiet. They had not failed. They had not succeeded either. But they had started something. A beginning. Subin stood at the window, watching Haven Prime shrink in the distance. Do you think it will work? He asked. Do you think they'll ever really trust us? Do-hyun considered the question. They're afraid of us, he said. They'll probably always be afraid of us. But Counselor Mira was right. They're also curious. They want to understand. And that's how every good friendship starts. After why? They want to graded 4. They want to graded 4. It's going to take time, Yuna said. Generations. Maybe. But we've made the first step. That's what matters. Unji was already planning the next phase. Student exchanges. Cultural programs. Shared research projects. There was so much to do. Sergeant Moon stood with his Marines, tired but proud. They had fought the hardest battle of their lives. The battle against themselves, and they had won. There's one thing I wonder about, Subin said. What? Do-hyun asked. Subin's face was completely serious. What are they going to think when they find out we keep wolves in our houses as pets? And we call them good boys and let them sleep in our beds? Unji started to laugh. Then Yuna. Then all of them. One thing at a time, Do-hyun said. One thing at a time. The Taeguk flew home through the stars, carrying with it the hope of two peoples who had just learned to see each other clearly for the first time. It was enough. For now, it was enough.